All right, moving right along here on the show tonight, the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show. We're live at the Beach House Grill in Old Town Fort Collins, talking Colorado State men's basketball with assistant coach Niko Medved. Again, Tim Miles on his way over, we've been told, so we'll get you a little bit of Tim. A little of Tim goes a long way, though, doesn't it?
There you go. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Air Force and Utah coming up this week for Colorado State. Air Force 11-7, 2-3 in conference. They're coming off a big win over Wyoming, and then Utah gets the week off as they get extra time to prepare for you guys. I'll ask you about Air Force. I know you know a little bit about them, but before I do that, how about the week as a whole? Because I was talking to Tim earlier today for a TV show, and he said this week is every bit as important as last week, maybe even more.
Or bigger, you know. These are two very good teams. They're playing well. They're good teams that are playing well. Air Force is playing very well. Utah's won 3 games in a row. Air Force is going to smell upset. You're always thinking, boy, we had such an emotional game on Saturday with a big crowd of our kids. We got to get them back cranked up, ready to play here, because Air Force is playing very well. Same thing with Utah. They had a lot of new guys, and they're starting to get their chemistry together, and guys playing well. And it's a challenging week, but if you want to have a chance to play in the postseason and potentially in the NCAA tournament, you got to find a way to get it done.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of the big game, and would there be a letdown? What did you see today out of your ball club? Probably a disappointed ball club, but did you see a little bit of that?
Good. They were good today. They came out and they were ready. They had good energy in practice, and they were flying around a little bit. And I think they get it. They're starting to mature as a team, and I think they understand what's at stake. And those seniors realize that, hey, this is it, it's now or never. And so they were very good in practice, and I think they know what to expect in these next 2 games and know they're going to have to be at their best to win.
Again, Air Force comes up Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Then Utah, a 4 p.m. Afternoon tip-off in Salt Lake City. You have that Utah scout, so you've already been working on them?
A little bit, and actually that's tonight when I go home. That's what I'll do. I'll go home tonight. Hey!
Coach Tim Miles in the house.
Go home tonight and watch the games. Utah is a team. They're very, system-oriented. The one thing that they have is they've got the shot blocker. Yeah. David Foster, he's a guy that, they can play you one-on-one in the post. He'll stand behind Andy in there. They won't run double teams at him, and, they're going to see if we can score one-on-one in there. They do a great job of protecting the paint that way and making you shoot from the perimeter. We'll have to make some perimeter shots, and they also have a kid, Will Clyburn is a junior college transfer. He's really a tough matchup. Can shoot, put it on the floor, get to the glass, and like I said, they're starting to really find a chemistry, and they're playing very, very well.
At the start of the year, you're looking at Utah saying, boy, they've had a lot of defections from the program, and you said, well, I just don't know what they're going to have, but they're top 2 scorers, and you mentioned Will Clyburn, and then Josh Watkins. They're both junior college kids.
Right, and I think, in fairness to them, it took them a little while early to get it together. A lot of new guys. They struggled a little bit, were up and down, but they're really starting to find a chemistry and kick it in gear and playing very, very well on both ends of the floor.
All right, hey, final thought before we let you go, because you scout and obviously you're looking at a lot of game film. What kind of advantage does Utah have by not having a game here this week?
It's hard to say. Sometimes when you're playing well, you want to keep playing.
Sure.
You get into a rhythm of your games, and you don't want to take a break. So it's hard to say whether they have an advantage or not. Jay Watkins, a big kid, who's been out with an injury, maybe he's going to heal. I don't know. Give him a time to get back. But I feel like when you're playing well, you want to stay in a rhythm. And so I know we feel like we're playing well, and I like the schedule that we're on. So
makes sense. All right. Thanks so much, Niko.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it, man.
Niko Medved, Ram assistant coach, like a true pro, like he's been doing this for a long, long time. All right, we'll be joined by Coach Miles coming up next from Milligan Sports. It's Rams Basketball Coaches Show on the Colorado State Sports Network. Only a couple more segments left here tonight. Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show for the Beach House Grill, Old Town Fort Collins. Brian Roth back with you. Thanks to Kristen Holt. Joined us over the phone talking women's hoops. Thanks to Niko Medved, Ram assistant coach. And now we're joined by Coach Tim Miles. Welcome, Tim Miles, to the Bar and Grill here tonight.
You know why I'm late? My sister called me, Kelly, and she's in Rapid City, and so she's developing new hand-eye coordination techniques to help our team's rebounding, she said. And she's going to put them on video and send them to me. So,
really?
Kelly, she's an ardent listener. I think whatever that means, she listens a lot to the deal. And so, Kel, we'll all be looking forward to an improved rebounding performance of the Rams because of you. So hop to it, girl.
Everyone's a coach, right?
Oh, shit. In my family, they all are, yeah.
All right. Well, we had to wait for Tim Miles to come on the program before we could get to our email bag. Ask the coach. And, again, if you want to throw in a question through email to either Coach Holt or Coach Miles, go on CSURams.com and fill out the form and ask him a question. All right, this one is from Fred in Fort Collins. He said, Coach, can you describe how you felt looking around the arena and seeing a packed house on Saturday night?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a treasure of a night. You know, it's one of those lifetime memories you have as a player, as a coach, whatever it is. It's really the way you'd hope college basketball is and should be. And so it was a pretty cool moment. I'm just disappointed we couldn't send him home with a win.
Yeah, Fred goes on to say, I'll admit I'm late to jump on the bandwagon. Saturday was the first basketball game I've attended in 10 years. My family and I had the time of our lives, and I've bought tickets to several more
awesome.
games.
Thanks, Fred. That's good stuff right there. Let's hear it for him, all right?
Attaboy, Fred. And, you know, that's you hope that a lot of fans that maybe haven't been out to see your ball club play went home feeling disappointed, but the same way that Fred did.
Yeah, you hope so. It was just a really neat night, and I think our product on the floor is good. I think it's fun to watch. We've had a great core group of supporters that have been there for the get-go when we were 0-16 and getting our butts kicked all the time. And but we don't mind growing that fan base either and sharing our little treasure secret thing. So should be fun.
All right, we'll go to the next email. I'm not sure if I like the tone of this email. This is from a Tip in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Tip? Is there a last name on that?
Yeah.
Mealis?
I believe. He goes, more zone, better free throws made, and tell Brian the best football program in the history of football, and had the greatest coaches in all of football, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
He was mad, Brian. I mean, that's my dad, and he was mad. He calls me. He's like, I don't know if I can listen. I'll just watch it on TV. Brian Roth does not like Notre Dame. And I'm like, no, Dad, you got to understand. I was trying to cover for you.
Yeah,
he wouldn't hear of it. So the venom comes out, though. The great part about the Mileses is when we're mad, we have no discipline. We just blurt it out there and get it over with.
I apologize, Tip. Notre Dame isn't one of my favorite colleges.
And why? Because they beat Colorado when you were a CU student.
When I was, and I was, exactly.
And so your feelings are hurt. And whose wouldn't be?
That's right. And Notre Dame, over the course of their football history, have hurt a lot of people's feelings.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. They should expect to have a little bit of conflict.
All right, our final question here tonight comes from John in Denver, and I'll just read it. John's words, not mine. That doesn't mean it's bad.
I was just going to say it did not sound good here.
It seemed as though every time the Rams gained momentum in the second half Saturday against BYU.
This is a referee. This is an officiating.
The following defensive possession resulted in a whistle.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you?
Is this guy trying to get me fired or reprimanded or what's going on?
He just said, how do you maintain crowd intensity and momentum without drawing a whistle?
Well, that was disappointing, obviously, that we couldn't get defensive possessions without fouling. And that's your goal always. And when you get overextended like you do sometimes against an excellent team like BYU, you do foul. And then there's a whole bunch of subjectivity that goes into officiating, too, which I think a lot of fans don't always agree with. And all in all, I bet we made more mistakes than the refs. So with that being said, that's what we're focused on, are improving our mistakes and trying not to foul so much next time. But you just hopefully there can be a flow to the game. And I was worried on the first minute of the game when we stopped it for 3 minutes to get the clock right, to get the shot clock right. And I could envision this Montana game for all you viewers. I remember you guys when we played Montana the one time a year or two ago, and I mean it was just a mess the whole night. And
they had to bring in the extra shot clock.
Yeah, and I was just like having this flashback to that. Hopefully it didn't go that route.
No, it was all right. It did feel a little weird. It kind of took some of the air out of the building early because everybody was amped up.
Until Dorian hit a three, then they were fine.
And then they were back up and fired up. I will say this: Jimmer Fredette's an outstanding player, perhaps the best the conference has ever seen. I think that's open for argument and debate.
I'd be curious to know, for folks who've been around, how does he compare to Tim Hardaway, who's an NBA All-Pro? He's not as good as Tim Hardaway? Not as good as Tim Hardaway. Great. Now we're going to make him mad, and we got to play me. That's not the answer, okay? All right, so we got a coach. That was Ozello. Gary Ozello, who's just shaking his head. He was the most agreeable guy. This guy sells sunshine, all right? He sells sunshine. When I was coming out for my interview, he was killing me. Isn't the sunshine great? It's sunshine all the day. It's like 350 days, and he had me, at hello, at the sunshine thing. And there he is back there poo-pooing old Jimmer, and now it's going to come and cost me. I still got to face this guy, Gary.
Well, that's Hardaway was UTEP, correct? And that's the old WAC.
Yeah.
I'm saying in the history of the Mountain West Conference, I think that's certainly up for debate. You have
Andre Miller,
and Andre Miller never played in the Mountain West.
He didn't? All right.
No, that was still the WAC.
I don't know.
So
I was like an NEI coach back then. I don't know. It's like living in Mayville or Aberdeen, places that probably no one here has ever been to, but you should go. Yeah, Bob has. There it is.
Yeah,
remember, his brother was my high school basketball coach. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, and then we'll get on to another subject, Jimmer Fredette's really good. He doesn't need help from the officials, which he certainly got some help on Monday night. You don't have to comment.
Yeah, I don't have to agree wholeheartedly, do I? I mean, I wouldn't do that necessarily.
He's a pretty good player.
He's great. He's terrific. He's hard to get under control. That whole team's hard to get under control.
Okay, well, we'll take a timeout. Do you want to stick around?
Well, first of all, I think we got another minute here before we go, and I can fill it all up.
Sure.
I'm really looking forward to the Air Force game. This is a critical week for us.
Mm-hmm.
Air Force Academy, I think, is a much improved team, playing great. And, of course, as we discussed with Niko, for sure, in my presence, the Utah team, I think, is on a roll. So it's a really big week for the Rams, and hopefully the fans will come out against Air Force and support these guys. They're still licking their wounds a little bit. They're disappointed from the BYU game. They're desperate and dying to break through in a big way. And this week will show a lot of discipline and maturity about our willingness to come back and compete after a big week last week. Somebody told me how great a week we'd had, and on Sunday, and all I could think of was, I don't know what he's talking about. And I was just thinking, well, did he mean it was a big crowd and an entertaining game? I forgot we beat UNLV. I forgot it, And that's how coaches are, and even players. You just focus on that last game and forget the bigger picture sometimes. But hopefully we'll get a big crowd support. But I'm looking forward to DeMarlo Slocum coming on the show here and just sharing some of the things he does for us. And so we're getting a potpourri today of Rams basketball.
All right, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tim Miles, CSU head basketball coach. We have one more segment left. DeMarlo Slocum, assistant coach for the CSU men, will join us next. From Nelligan Sports, the Colorado State Sports Network. All right, for the final time here tonight, we rejoin you from the Beach House Grill, Old Town Fort Collins CSU basketball coaches show. We'll talk to Kristen Holtz, talk to Niko Medved, Tim Miles, of course, and now DeMarlo Slocum, assistant coach at Colorado State. He has been here all 4 years with head coach Tim Miles. DeMarlo, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Sitting in the back, taking it all in back there. DeMarlo is... he's one of the best recruiters Colorado State has. And let's start there. You guys have only signed one player.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's Javon Johnson. He comes from the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. Give us a scouting report on this kid, because I know you guys as a whole staff are excited about him.
Mm-hmm. Well, Javon's originally from Cordell, Georgia.
Georgia, not Florida.
Yeah, but now he attends junior college in
That's what I was thinking.
Panama City, Florida.
Okay.
The good thing about Javon, we'll have him for 3 years. Unfortunately, a couple months ago, he tore ACL. So we'll actually have him for 3 years, like Travis Franklin, which is always good for a junior college kid. Most junior college kids you get them for 2 years, and you probably only get 1 good year out of them. So it's good to have him for 3, especially with his knee experience. But Javon's a 6'6.5", 275 pound. Everyone will ask, is he in the right sport? He's a
football player, right?
Football, and he was recruited in football in the SEC and ACC out of high school, and just decided to go play football and basketball. And we're lucky to have him. I think he brings a different mentality. We're going to lose a lot, obviously, with Andy and Travis, but he's such a physical specimen, and he likes contact. Yeah. Like you said, he came down on his visit, watched our game, and the first thing he mentioned was how soft our big guys were. And I wouldn't, but that's him. That's his mentality, yeah. And I think that's what he's going to bring to our team next year.
That is not a bad thing.
No.
That's a good thing to have, and certainly if you can harness it. Looking forward to watching him play over the next 3 years. How about some of your young kids? I know you work with a lot of the development, the players at Colorado State, and we'll just throw a name out there. How about Mo Wiltz? He's a kid who's getting a lot of playing time as a true freshman.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Mo, he's hungry to learn. Not all kids are like that, and every day, he'll either text me or he'll call and just say, what do I need to do better? What do I need to work on? And that's important. That's important. When guys need development, they need to want to learn and accept it, and Mo does. And I think he's, every day he gets better because he wants to. And those are the type of kids you want in your program.
Yeah. Wish we had more time with you, DeMarlo. We got to go. The end of the show here, but I want to ask you, what's your thoughts going into this week?
Obviously last week was a big week for us, but, this is the week right here that we've got to have, in order to be a postseason team. And Air Force playing better, Utah's playing better, but the first one we got to get is Air Force, and that's an important game.
That's right.
So,
All right. DeMarlo Slocum, assistant coach here at Colorado State. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. That's going to do it for the program here tonight at the Beach House Grill in Old Town Fort Collins. We're here every Monday night from 6 to 7. We invite you to join us. For Charlie Grimes, who was back at Master Control, and Bob Greenfield, who is engineering here tonight, I'm Brian Ross saying so long, and thanks for listening to the Coors Light CSU Basketball Coaches Show.